Now that you know a little bit about layer masks, I want to show you some color correction. So what we're going to start out with is a rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to just draw a rectangle around this green door. Now adjustments over here, I'm going to pull this out, collapse that. I'm going to leave channels out because I'm going to want to show you some things. When you have an active selection and you pick some element of color correction, it will automatically add a layer mask to the picture. So I'm going to pick this one. Notice when you hover over each one, it tells you what it is. I'm going to start out with hue saturation. There's the layer mask. It automatically is hooked to a layer mask. In properties changes depending on what you're in, but in properties, these are the sliders for the color correction. So for example, if I wanted to change the hue of the door, I could use the hue slider. We could make it a red door. We could make it a less saturated door. The lightness and darkness is very flat, so I don't use that a lot. There are times to use it a little bit. There's also something called the colorize button. If you click it, you get to tint the object. Now, if you notice, the handle is being tinted, whereas when I don't have colorize on it, it isn't making the handle red. It's hard to make black or white a color. It needs to have some shade of gray. And it also has to be an image that is an RGB or CMYK. Oh, I don't think some of these don't work with CMYK, pretty much RGB. So we've got this sort of, I've got now a magenta door. Over here, I'm going to draw a rectangle. I want to move it over to the right just a tiny bit. But I also don't want, I want to separate these from this main rectangle. So what I'm going to do up here is go to Select, Save Selection. I'm going to call it Outer Window Frame. Now it saves selections over here in the channels panel. This right here is the layer mask. If I was on a different layer, this wouldn't show up. I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm going to click OK, and notice it saved that alpha channel. If I go back to the picture of the door and window, the layer mask disappears, but the alpha channel, the outer window frame, remains. So now I'm going to get my, go to deselect and draw this. I'm going to save this again, save selection, left pane. Then I don't know if it's exactly the same size. Let's try it. I moved it over. Yes, it is. I'm going to call it the save selection right pane. Oops, right pane. And then I'm going to draw, and you can see, let's see, get that a little bit too much. There. Left lower pane, save selection. Notice they're all coming up in the channels panel. Left lower pane. And then I'm probably going to be able to move it. See my move selection tool. And it might be a little big, so I'll go up to select, transform selection, and make it just a teeny tiny bit lower. There. And now I'm going to go to select, save selection, I'm going to just put R low pain. And now I've got all those selections. I can combine them. So what I'm going to do is I want them to be a part of this, but I want them to be blocked out. I only want to affect the green frame. So if I hold the Command key and click here, and then hold the Shift key and click the next one, and I'm holding both Command and Shift keys, and now in this outer window frame, if I fill this with black, I'm going to go to Edit Fill. Rather than foreground color, I'm just going to go down here to black and say OK, click OK. Now I have the entire selection, and if I click on this, watch, I will get, excuse me, here we go. There, if I clicked on this little circle with the little dots, that's saying make a selection of this alpha channel. I could probably throw all these away, but I'm not going to right now. They do save with the file. So I'm going to get back to the RGB channel. I'm going to get a different color correction. Let's see, let's go to color balance. So now I've got color balance. And I'm going, here are the editing for color balance, and I'm going to move to more cyan. The shadow is a little odd, so maybe move to a little more yellow, a little more green. And let's see how that looks. If you turn off the eyeball, see how much greener it is? Maybe if I put it above this color correction, but with the mask, it is hiding it from the other door. So I'm going to try, again, holding the Command key and clicking here to bring up this selection. I'm going to turn off the eyeball and just see what something else would have done. Here's hue saturation. And let's see about changing the hue. Well, that shadow does look a little bit weird. You have, maybe if I change this to a little lighter, no, that looks kind of weird. So the shadow is kind of maybe colorized. That's much better. So now that's much better. And I see areas, see that? Yes, that looks much better. So this particular one really works better with the colorize. Colorize basically is tinting this window because the shadow got very muddy. So that is layer masks attached to color correction elements, adjustments is what they're called, saving alpha channels, and we have just changed the color, and notice this is again non-destructive. There's the original. I happen to like the way hue saturation worked with these. And one more color correction I might add, and I do this a lot with photographs, is use levels and then hit auto and see how the whole picture changed a little bit. It kind of corrects the video levels or the camera levels. Usually moving this right one to where the histogram shows the pixels are starting, and it moved the left one in a little bit, which I'm a little surprised that it moved that in, but you can also do it by hand if you want to adjust the levels yourself. So that's color correction, alpha channels, and adjustment layers in a nutshell. We'll do more.